when you create a regular writing practice for yourself or a regular writing habit for yourself, what you're doing is you're giving yourself the opportunity to get better as a writer by writing on a regular basis. So you can set it, and you can do 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be setting aside a ton of time. So you can do it once a day. You can do it, say, set aside 3 days a week. I know people that write on the weekend. So it's really just the creating that habit and committing to it. And you may have to try out a couple of things. I focus better in the morning. Other people focus better in the evening. Sometimes I shake it up a little bit. I do it at different times of the day. I try different times of the day. I used to, when I was still in my corporate job, I would set aside time sometimes during my lunch break, and I would go find a place, maybe in the cafeteria, to write. So maybe you have to try a few different things to see what works for you, but you set aside time. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, it can be an hour. It just depends on how much time you have. Find a space that you really like. If you want quiet, some people really want to be creative in a quiet space. Make sure that you find a quiet space. If you don't need a quiet space, then a coffee shop might work for you. Or maybe going to a quiet park works, or just finding a quiet spot in your house. Just looking for what works for you, and knowing what your habits are, and knowing what your preferences are. So like I said, if you need quiet, make sure that you find a quiet space. If you don't have to have quiet time, during that time, then you can find a space that works for that. But just set aside that time and that space for yourself. I don't necessarily need a clean space to write. A lot of people do. If that's something you need, make sure that you have a dedicated clean space for yourself to do that. I also, when I set aside writing time for myself, there's a couple of tools that I use. I either listen to music, and when I listen to music when I'm writing, I listen to quiet instrumental music. There's also this really cool app called Focus at Will, and it has a timer on it that you can set, and the music it plays, or the sounds that it plays, is specifically designed to help you focus. And I don't know if it works for everyone, but it works really well for me. I have found that when I listen to that music or that sound, I can get super, super focused. So I recommend maybe checking that out. It's an app that you can download for your smartphone called Focus at Will. So, whatever kind of sounds you need to help you focus, that's what I would do. Also, set a timer for yourself, and that's actually one of the reasons I like the Focus at Will app, is because it actually does include a timer. So you can set it for 15 minutes, you can set it for 30 minutes. And when you have set the timer, make sure that you're focused during that period of time. Turn off if you need to, turn off your phone, turn off your email, turn off other things that are going to distract you, so that you can really focus during whatever that period of time that you have set aside, and really focus on your writing. I also, when I'm doing a regular writing practice like that, I do a little quick meditation before I start. That helps me ground myself. It helps me to kind of focus my mind and clear out all the other things. So you may try doing a quick little meditation. It doesn't have to be anything long or complicated. It can just be centering your breathing and closing your eyes and kind of centering everything. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, is what I'm saying. So just to kind of recap that. So create a regular practice for yourself, schedule. Yeah, this is important. Put it on your calendar if you need to. That way you don't have, so if other people have access to your calendar, if you have it blocked off on your calendar, you can make sure that that's kind of sacred time and you don't other people don't sort of invade that time. So set a specific time for yourself and do it on try to do it as regularly if as you can. I know we all have busy schedules, but if you can do it daily, if you can do it daily, try to do it maybe 3 days a week. Try to do it, or if you can't do it in the middle of the week, try to do it maybe on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I think you'll find if you schedule it, so think of it this way. If you schedule it for yourself 5 days a week and you end up writing 3 days a week. So maybe you don't get it in all 5 days, you get in 3 days. That's 3 more days than you would have otherwise. So say you have set aside 30 minutes 5 days a week, you only end up doing it 3 days. That's an hour and a half of writing for that week. So think about that. You have if you do just 3 days a week for 30 minutes a day, that's an hour and a half of writing. Imagine how much writing, how much really good writing practice you could get in an hour and a half a week. So it doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be extensive.